Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Arc Raiders and Marathon. I've been playing both a ton. I got a lot of hours, over 30 plus hours on each. I'm actually still playing them right now, to be honest with you. So it's super exciting to kind of get into this and just share my opinions. There's first things first, if you guys don't know, extraction shooters have been around for a while. The Division is the game that did it the best. Like 10 years ago, they made the Dark Zone, which is an extraction aspect to the game. And then on top of that, they made a game mode, which was called Survival, which is basically a traditional extraction shooter. And I loved it, and I still love it, and I think it's the best ever. But there have been some new ones, and it looks like right now this will become the mainstream, just like Battle Royale became the mainstream for shooters. Right now, extractions are going to do that, and you should expect pretty much every big game to try and succeed, and they have. Battlefield, Call of Duty, they all have tried. They've kind of failed to a certain extent. But in this video, I'm going to dive into the two next that I know for certain are going to be special. And I'll tell you why and what I'm feeling and thinking. We're starting off with Arc Raiders. You could see this is kind of like, footage from their content. But I'm going to switch over to mine's and discuss what I've been experiencing on my own. I'm pretty high level and I've done a lot of the game and I've enjoyed it so much. So it's pretty much a well-crafted universe. First and foremost, you're in this universe that's so special because it is mysterious, right? And what's been happening and how it all came to be. People have to live underground and you are basically surviving that, but you get to go up as a raider to raid the surface, right? Let's just say. And so now you're finding loot and you're out there, it's the typical storyline of having somebody go save the day. So that's kind of your job, and you get sent on these missions. And in this world, there'll be other raiders, but there's also AI, robots, and tons of very cool things. So there's tiny little like spider-like ones that'll hug your face, just like the Alien movie, or there's giant ones, big mech style, where it's a boss fight basically. But while you're doing all that, you're fighting players, you're fighting, your teammates sometimes, and you're trying to find this loot so that you can extract. And if you guys don't know what extraction shooters, we already made a video about that. We're not going to get into what an extraction shooter is today. But so far with this game, the way the concept works and the setup goes is that they made a really well-crafted system that makes me feel good about the game. I honestly wish this was a story game and they had this as an extra feature. But it's like people miss out on that. I think the Division did it the best, where they had their story and then they had the Dark Zone. And this could have been the Dark Zone. Just imagine a full experience. And this is why I think this game is going to succeed, because people already are having the time of their lives and having a blast in these scenarios. Just like the Battle Royale brought new experiences for players, this brings new experiences for players as well. And it's just exciting, interesting, and dynamic. The one thing I do love about this game is that everything feels right? Like there's not a lot that I can say that felt like, oh no, this is no good, it's a bad design, or it wasn't done well. There's been some crashes on the PlayStation 5, which is what I'm playing on, but there isn't anything that I feel that's drastically bad. The gunplay feels good, the AI feels legit, balanced, not too crazy. There are some difficult AI, but that's the point of this world. It's supposed to be intense. And then there's the players, which, depending on which map you choose, you can face a lot of players coming out guns blazing. Or in this map that you're watching, it's a little bit less dense and it's more, AI and you trying to loot. It's a beginner friendly map. And so it's super interesting, this dynamic, this experience. And then I am sold on this game, and I have been sold on these games. So it's not like I don't like these games. So I'm going to be talking about Marathon in a minute. But the reason I bring all this up is because I have this game at an 8.5 right now. And maybe I'm just a little bit in love with it. But yeah, I just like it more than I thought I would. After getting my hands on it for many hours, I'm so excited about it. And I feel like it's going to be a fun ride playing this game in the future and really getting into it as we go. I can see the potential. And so, super exciting time to be a gamer, let's just say. And now I'm going to jump in and do a little bit of coverage for Marathon before we go to back and forth comparison. If that's what you want, it's going to be a little bit later. So, Marathon is made by Bungie, and Bungie is one of the greatest, right? The other team for arcraiders is kind of new. They made finals, which was amazing, but Bungie has 30 years of gaming design, and so they're the best of the best, and we know this, and there's no question there. But what's interesting is that this game is a new field for them, and they're trying something totally different. And what I can say is the typical stuff for Bungie is a very high standard, right? The gunplay for Bungie has always been really nice, and this game doesn't fail on that. I think it has amazing gunplay. It feels really good when you're shooting and looting and doing all that extra stuff. Definitely exciting, interesting, and well crafted. And that's something I absolutely think stands out more than anything. And then they have the 3 games which create the lore of this game. I think if you didn't play the 3 games, and this is what I want to put a little bit of a just pause, because maybe you never got to see the 3 games and you don't know as much as I do. I know the 3 games, so the lore is so heavy, so amazing in this universe because of those 3 games. And even if you didn't know the 3 games, just knowing what happens in this universe, where your conscious can get transferred to another cybernetic shell, which is super interesting, and that's what's happening to you as a runner. But you're in this alien planet and you're dealing with AI, you're dealing with other aliens, you're dealing with so much that's going on. Even the planet itself has so many mysteries, and you're uncovering all that. And so it makes it interesting. But my worry is that the casuals might not be as interested. And I think Bungie's going to have to lean into its pure fan base of Destiny guys who are kind of upset that this game exists, some of them. And then also for hardcore people who just love Bungie, whether it's Halo or the original Marathon, you know? But yeah, I'm gonna go and showcase a little bit of my footage of me just playing casually. But the point of what I'm making here is that for the lore and story and universe of this game, it might not be for everyone because nobody really knows what it is. And I think Bungie got to do a better job to present it to people. When I played Ark, you know, I started really getting into it. I love the introduction. I love the cutscenes that are in the game that I unlocked as I did missions. And then I also, just the universe gets very interesting. And so with this game, it does have a lot of that. But I believe Marathon has to work a little harder to introduce it properly so that people can be like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so it's super interesting, and I can go into theories and maybe I'll make some of those later because I'm so into this game. But that's one thing that's kind of questionable. Now, what I want to talk about also with Bungie's questionable aspects is that the environments look amazing in interior aspects, but in the wilderness, I definitely was not feeling some of the visuals. It looked like a downgraded experience. And you'll see what I mean. I'm going to skip through and hopefully get to some kind of, you know, forest land The grass and all this stuff for an alien planet doesn't feel very inspiring. Everything else does when you're indoors. And so that's kind of where it's interesting for me, you know? And so that's something that I want to kind of explore and discover and see how far it goes. And that was the questions I had. And then the other thing was with the progression. This is where we're going to start the video and discuss some of the systems that I already know for sure for both games and kind of go back and forth just a little bit. We're going to start off with the one and the only arcraiders. So arcraiders has a very cool system here where you go in and there's these NPCs and they are animated a bit, as you can see right here. They'll talk to you, just have some discussions and kind of get into things. And it's not a lot of work. It's not like you got a full animation. They're kind of like cinematic, but it is so good because they do have story elements and details for you. And then they'll send you on a mission, which you have to complete. And a lot of them are pretty basic, but it progresses the story. And then you can unlock cutscenes that reveal more of the universe and unlock newer things. And I think this system is extremely well done and I love it. Another thing I absolutely love is these workstations. So I'm able to craft a lot of my items pretty easily. And it makes it very, very fluid. Like, hey, I went out there and got a lot of resources. I might as well make a new weapon and just craft this, craft that. And just life is easier that way. And there's all kinds of things that I can get, not just weapons or ammo or anything. Pretty much everything in the game. And so this just makes life easier. I can go and purchase them from things like this, like the gunsmith here. Or I can craft them myself with the workstations. So it just makes it very cool. Then the skill tree is pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. A lot of them are just boosting stats. It's not anything to do with like creating your own build. Everybody most likely will have this all maxed out. And you're going to be able to do things like run fast, run longer, not faster, but longer. And you're going to be able to, climb a little faster and loot a little faster, which isn't game breaking. So it means everybody's on the same playing field and it's more about who has the better skills, right? And so this is a tech test, so some of this stuff might change. So when I talk about it, please note that. Now, there is a battle pass system. I haven't researched to see if there's going to be a pay to play type of system, but so far, as you can see, I'm able to easily just purchase almost all the stuff in the battle pass here on the first tier and some of the second. And so I started purchasing and just testing it out, seeing what it offers. And I think it's a pretty cool system. It kind of reminds me of Helldiver system as well, where you're capable of just grabbing stuff. I always say don't ever purchase anything in the game with real life money if you don't want it. But that's just me. And another cool feature, just to kind of showcase it, is right here. I can go to the practice range and just fool around. Or I can go into the dam, which is, you can see the difficulty is a lot lower than the rest of these. This one right here can go very high. Like some of these are very difficult. And you can choose which one you want, which will make life a little easier. It won't be as difficult to get in and get out. And to me, that is amazing. And of course, very good. And you can customize your character a little bit. There's outfits that you can buy from the battle pass. And I personally think it's well done. Of course, there can always be more customizations. But the fact that it's there is very good in my opinion. Now we're going to get into marathon systems and see how it goes. So we talked about like just general gameplay stuff, but I want to kind of get into this faction system. There's going to be 6 of them. We got 3. Again, this is a closed alpha. And in here, you get these missions, these priority contracts, or just regular boost contracts or standard ones. But in here, they'll give you some things, and some of them are very interesting. Like, you have to do this or that, special things. Some of them are pretty basic, straightforward. I like this. And I like the factions. And you actually get very cool cutscenes as well that can be very intriguing. I don't know how players will feel compared to Arc, where Arc is straightforward. This one has a lot of abstract, very like multi-layered stuff that's you have to discover. So for the hardcore players, they're gonna love this. As I keep repeating that conversation, the casuals, I'm not sure how much they can fall into this, and I don't mean no disrespect to say this. Some people just have simple minds. Some people just are very bland. No disrespect, but it's just like people don't have the capacity to think. And so when they play a video game, they just want to get in there and make it simple. There's bad guys, kill them. Oh, there's why are we killing them? What is going on? Okay, we're good. In this game, there's so many cool like abstract elements of like who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. You're working for these factions, and it can get a little diluted for some people, and I believe that's going to be a struggle for Bungie. But this system is amazing because you're gonna make your own build, right? Of course, you can probably max everything out, but it's not that easy. You gotta grind out materials. If you're into the game, you'll probably max out all of this, which is gonna make your playstyle unique. And this is why I love the way the factions are set up. This is pretty decent. The second reason why I think this is good is also about the runners, and we're gonna talk about each runner in a second, but they're kind of like heroes, right? So you're gonna have a class that can be enhanced. You're capable of putting in different slots within these 5, 6, 7 slots to boost up your abilities, to boost up your traits, and all of the different things that you can do in the game. This is going to be enhancements, very, very key to make whatever playstyle you're already doing even better. So I don't have any items right now, but let's just say I did, and I put them in here and I go crazy with it. And then on top of that, I got my faction maxed out on certain things that benefit and profit for my playstyle. Maybe it's a movement based character, or maybe it's a tanky character. I'll just put on things that fix and enhance. For example, agility affects how fast you move and how high you can jump. So boom, I want this. Or Glitch, the character that I'm using right now. She's amazing. But if I wanted to be more stealthy, I'm going to pick Void and then try to do things that are stealthy. So the playstyle and this system is super exciting. We've never seen it in extraction shooters. And that's why I think like it can be very successful in that regard. But to get players locked in to this system and to this universe isn't as cool as the arcraiders, because arcraiders is pretty straightforward. It's like you got the AI, you hate them with a passion, then you got other players you want to beat down too. In this game, these factions, you're not sure who's the good guy or bad guy, and they don't explain it in full detail. But for me, since I'm hardcore, I already know each faction individually. I know all the ARG information, and we know about the first 3 games. So that's where this game has that struggle. And I keep bringing this up, and I know it's a broken record, but that is what Bungie's gonna have to sort out for people and keep it very simple and make it straightforward for them, even though I know that they want to give their hardcore players something cool. Now, overall, the gameplay is gonna be very different in these 2 games. With Arc Raiders, it is still tactical, but with this game, it's a little slower pace and movement, and so you're gonna take your time, and you got to be very careful because you can get one-shotted if you're not using a good shield and somebody has a buffed up weapon, and you're going in there with a sponsored kit dealing with the map, which it won't be good. So those are the kind of things that I'm very much like curious about how they will play out when the time comes, as we've been learning the game as we go forward. But yeah, I'm super excited about both of these, and my kind of prediction is one of the two will be the best extraction shooter in the foreseeable future. They're coming to all systems, so you're going to be able to play them on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Maybe even Nintendo Switch. From the way that that system is working, it might be even playable there. But you're going to have it there. You're going to have the capability of crossplay on both of them, which is definitely a W. And they both have really cool universes. If you do get into them, you'll like it. But the gameplays both feel very well. I do think that Arc Raiders has the upper hand at the moment because when they put this out, a lot more people got access. And on top of that, like, people don't know what to feel about the studio. With Bungie, people are mad that they're not making Halo no more. Then they're mad that they're not making Destiny no more. And then they're mad about all the random stuff that has nothing to do with the game. And they take it out on Marathon rather than the game. So they have like a very uphill battle dealing with the gamers' narratives and trying to convince people to jump into the extraction genre, which is a new genre. I know it might not seem like it's new, but it's something that hasn't been fully popularized the way it's happening now, where it's becoming a trend. And so, yeah, that's my take on both of these games. Now, I will say there's another game that I've already played and I've enjoyed. It's called Exoborn, and it was fantastic when I played it. I can't say much because I'm under NDA about it, but I have fun with it, and I know they're going to have another alpha tech test or something, especially after seeing both these two games go crazy. And you can check that one out too. Like, listen, regardless if I get partnered up with these companies, I always want to have my personal opinion on them. And when they release, I'll give whatever, whatever floats my boat. Maybe I'll play them all, or maybe I'll only play one of them full time. But in the end of the day, it's going to be a blast, and I'm excited to go deeper down the rabbit hole. Hope y'all enjoyed this, and I hope you're excited like me. And I will see you guys on the next one. It should be popping up. I have videos for both the games. See you there. Make sure you leave a like if it was informative. Peace.